And I'm going to.
The minutes for October. Has everyone had a chance to look at those? An email.
I move that we approve the minutes as written, unless somebody else has any.
Second.
All right. Minutes accepted. No, we have to
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
There, now there's.
Yeah.
Public comment? None?
This is, just by the way, this is Amber Quinn. She's the library manager. She's here to watch the setup and everything in case I'm not able to be here for some reason in the future. So there she is.
Council liaison is not available tonight. I do not have any report. Member reports, anybody? All right, LDAC. Marissa, do you have anything on that?
The only thing I have on LDAC is that Rick Peterson, the network manager who works closely with LDAC and is a part of the group, he finally got some reports together that the library directors can work on called the annual library reports. And each of those reports for each fiscal year basically has information like how much money we spent on things, if there are any issues with our budget, if there are any needs we have. Really, it's a way for LDAC to make sure all of the libraries are following the rules of the district. So all that's to say is we just recently got the reports. They're obviously blank, and so we're gonna be working on them for the next probably month or two. So as soon as those are done and submitted, I can share them with you all.
I have a question. When you say rules, did they give you some rules that you're supposed to follow? Because I thought that was kind of the problem.
Yes, basically, this is actually one of the biggest issues with LDAC is these annual reports, because all the library directors already create annual reports for different other things. And this is just another version of that report. And in the end, in the past couple of years, the reports have been turned in. But it's only led to fighting with some cities saying like, hey, our internal charges were way higher than yours. Why is that? Blah, blah, blah. And so really it's just to make sure that we're following, I'm saying the rules of the library district, but really it's why the library district was set up in the first place. And I have a very, very large packet on the history of LDAC that at some point I would love to share with you all at a meeting. It's on my to talk about list when we actually have some time to do that. But in order for the libraries to continue getting money from the district, they have to follow these certain rules. And one of the rules was filling out these annual reports. And it's been, I think since COVID, we have not filled out any annual progress report. Each one takes a long time, and I have 3 of them in my inbox right now. So yeah, it's a long story, but once we get to that point where I turn them in and then wanna come share everything with you guys, I'll explain the process a little bit better, because this is my first time filling these out as well. So I'll learn with you guys.
How about you? Do you have anything to share?
First trimester is ending next Tuesday, meaning you have finals on Monday and Tuesday. And then you have Thanksgiving break until the following Tuesday, December 2nd, where trimester 2 starts.
Yes.
Okay, and are you gonna pass?
Yes.
Okay.
We definitely
I would have been surprised.
Marissa, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I put the bi-monthly report in there, so I'll go over that first, and then I've got some other things not on here that I'll share with you. So for September and October, you see our little snapshot there. Really, the biggest numbers here to pay attention to would be digital checkouts, which is going up some more. No confusion there. Lots of visitors. We had a lot of people coming in out of the library for different programs. Some of the self-directed activities we have going on, including the ones right now, because it's Dino-Vember, so we're doing dinosaur-related things and programs and whatnot, which has been really fun so far. And outreach. We actually ended up seeing over, what did I say on here, over 2,100 visitors on Halloween. 2,100, that was like the most I think we've ever seen. Amber even stayed late to help pass out books. So that was pretty crazy. And also our room reservation numbers went up. Those rooms are almost always filled right now. But I'm not going to go over the rest of the stats because some of that's going to be in the presentation I'm going to give in a little bit. Backside of bi-monthly report. You guys all know by now we opened our Career Center on September 2nd. I'll share some more information about that in the presentation coming up. We officially closed our teen intern grant and our mini grants for rural libraries, so we're excited about that. We hosted a community conversation on accessibility on October 4th, and we're actually going to be starting to spend those grant funds. The first thing we're purchasing is a bunch of large print signage for our collections based on the feedback we got at that community conversation. And Candy Graphics is actually printing all of those signs right now, so they'll be up really soon. The goal with those signs is to is really so if you walk into the library and you look out, you can basically see where all the collections are. The goal is to have them print that big. So we're really excited about that. I think it will be a really welcome change. I won't talk more about the Library District Task Force because it makes me sad, but you guys all know that's over. Like I said, we saw 2,100 visitors who stopped by on Halloween for a free book during this spectacular village, so that was really fun. Right now, obviously we're in the middle of November, so we're doing Dino-Vember where we're celebrating dinosaurs at the library. There's a lot of passive stuff going on, so kids can come in any day and go look at the I Spy Dinorama for different dinosaurs. They get prizes. There's 3D dinosaur coloring at the desk too, so if someone goes in and colors a dinosaur, Philip actually puts it on the TV in the children's room, and so all these little kids' dinosaurs that they drew and colored are all interacting with each other. It's so funny. There's a community puzzle going on right now. I think someone was trying to finish it today and it was only halfway done, so I wonder if it's finished. And then we have OMSI here for some really fun programming too. And yeah, Bilingual Baby Story Time's coming up. Same with Teen Manga and Anime Club. That's actually happening today right now. So anyway, that's the bi-monthly report. And then I've got some other updates. Let's see here. Started posting the library's bi-monthly report snapshot, that little square there on the community bulletin board, and social media, so thank you for the suggestion. Already got some comments, even got a comment on Facebook from someone who lived in Canby and moved to Ohio and said their new library is lacking and they miss Canby. So that made me happy. We are currently in the process of waiting for some new self-checks to come in. The ones you see out there are no longer supported. And so we're actually going to be getting new self-check machines in the next month or so from a company that's based out of Germany, I believe. But they're much simpler, they're cheaper, and we don't end up having to pay any money for them because Rick at Network squirreled away some money over the past couple of years to make sure we wouldn't all have a giant bill once we had to replace these self-checks. So grateful for Rick. He's probably never going to watch this, but I'm grateful for him.
Are they still currently working though?
What?
Are they still currently working?
Yes, they're currently working. Right, we need to get them replaced. Like they were supposed to be replaced actually July 1st, but this company's been a little bit behind. So those self-checks are still working, and I believe they're going to be going. I don't know where they're supposed to be going somewhere where they can actually recycle a lot of the parts. So happy about that, I guess.
Are they about 9 years old, is that right?
They're, I would say, yeah. Let's see, 8 or 9 years old, yeah. And they generally, we were told, only last between 5 and 6 years. And once a technology is no longer supported, you can't get security updates, you can't get anything like that. So that's why they're being replaced. We created a new library of things display and we moved it. It's by the self-check. So if you see the little spinny, I don't even know what to call that, little spinny guys, it has all of our library of things items on them. And we have some new items that we are in the process of adding and some that have already been added, so you should go check those out. And I will already say anecdotally that because we moved that display where it is and it's a little flashier, stuff that has never gotten checked out since we've had it has been checked out. So, excited about that. That's fantastic.
A rock tumbler, you can check out a rock tumbler.
You can check out a rock tumbler, and that's one of our bigger popular checkouts, believe it or not. The wait list was about 2 years. A 2-year wait list a couple years ago. And it's because it's a 28-day checkout instead of 14 days. So at one point we did purchase extra rock polishers. We had 4, and then they got used, and now we don't have them anymore because they're broken. But we still have one, so yeah. Seed library. The seed library is still there, but it's also moved between the holds area and the inside book return, so it would get more viewing as well. So it's basically where the old library of things display was. So you should go check that out too. It looks pretty cool. Let's see, Civic Engagement Academy signups have started. This is the second group of Civic Engagement Academy folks. I don't think they're filled up yet, but the signups do usually fill up fast. So if you're interested, basically the Canby Civic Engagement Academy is something that happens over the course of 6 to 8 months. Every month you come into this building usually and have a presentation by 2 department directors on their department, what goes into all the work they do, who's doing the work, and then they answer questions. I don't know when the library presentation will be. It was in March last year, so maybe this year as well, but I'll pass that around if you're interested. I don't think there's really an age minimum or maximum or anything like that, but it was a really fun experience to present there and to also listen to some of the other presentations. So if you're interested in learning more about the city, that's a great way to do it. Already talked about that. We had an unofficial book complaint that I just wanted to let you guys know of because it's partially your job to know about these book complaints. So it's not official. I don't have anything written up by this person, but we did have an older gentleman who was upset that we had a book about children and their bodies that teaches them about their body. The book is called The Bare Naked Book. It came out in 2021. Other libraries have it, and yeah, he didn't really get into specifics. He was just upset that we had the book on our shelves. So I'm gonna pass this around as well. Well, that's what happens. The man was not super nice to the staff member that took the complaint, but he also was not interested in going through the formal process. So I don't know if he just wanted to let us know that he was upset about it, or if he would actually move forward in some way, but I just wanted to let you guys know. Gosh, I have a lot of updates. I'm almost done now. We recently had to trespass another patron. This is generally that time of year where I feel like we do it a little bit more. I won't get into the specifics of what this person did, but he took up library staff time for over 2 hours on a particular day, and that was the second time that he had done that, warranting a ban for the day the first time. So, just wanted to let you guys know of that. Haven't had any issues since then, but that's going on. And then finally, just some holiday things. I'm sure you guys have seen if you walked into the library recently, we have the Kiwanis Club of Canby's annual food and toy drive, red bin out there. So people can come bring new toys and drop them off in there, and Kiwanis will come pick them up and give them out as a part of their annual food and toy drive. And then we also have applications in case you are a family that is in need of those things. Those are at the desk and anyone can come pick those up. They're due by December 5th. It's the 4th or the 5th, I think it's the 5th. So just if you know anyone that needs an application, make sure they come and get the applications and turn them in by the 5th. They can also turn them in here. And then also right next to the red donation bin, there's a little box that says fill a stocking, fill a heart. That is another nonprofit organization that provides Christmas stockings each year for those less fortunate. So basically you can grab a stocking that's already there and then you can fill it according to certain parameters. You can make a stocking for babies or toddlers, children ages 5 to 12, teens and adults, senior adults or unhoused folks. And there are flyers on here if you just want to donate instead of actually putting stuff in a stocking. This flyer also has ideas as to what you could include in the stocking if you were to buy one. And it's a lot of things that people generally need who might need some help. So things like gloves, hats, dental floss, deodorant, toothpaste, things like that. So I'll pass that around to you in case you guys are all interested, but I just wanted to let you know about that. And then the last update, I promise, is something I told you guys a little bit about last year. Right now, they are taking applications for the I Love My Librarian Award. And every year I like to nominate somebody from my group of wonderful library staff. And so I just wanted you guys to be aware of this. If you know anybody, or if you have a story or an anecdote about a library staff member that you would like to share with me, I can include that in any nomination. I'll pass that around to you just in case. So just wanted to let you guys know of that. And I think that's pretty much everything I have for my updates. That felt like a lot. I'm
Marissa,
done.
are you going to have Santa in the library this year?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I'll have to ask Melissa about it.
We used to have Santa in the library.
Do you remember, so the last time we had Santa,
That was before COVID.
he double booked. He double booked us. And he decided to leave our library to go to the other library. So, yeah, I think the problem was we needed to find a different Santa.
Well, the one we had many years ago was probably, I mean, he's old now, but he was old.
I will ask Melissa
Retired is the
Lois.
word you're looking for.
I like that.
Nice job, Christie.
Has the Canby Library ever won the I Love My Library Award? Librarian Award, sorry.
No, and if you do any reading on the award, it will tell you that most, if not all of the people who end up getting the award are nominated several times before they actually get the award. So I nominated 2 people once, so I'm gonna nominate one or both of them again. So, yeah.
Do it till you get it.
So it seems like you have a great social media person now, and if there was a targeted campaign,
Yeah.
you could totally win this
Yeah.
this year.
I mean, I think too, you know, of our Maker Lab, like Philip created that space from nothing. I mean, we have a lot of really amazing staff, so I'm working on an extensive nomination letter for one person right now. It's, I think, 4 pages, but it says you have a better chance of getting the award if there are personal anecdotes, or pictures, or people who write letters, things like that. So I'm gonna do my best to include as much as I possibly can. But if you have any stories, especially about Philip or Stephen, our librarians, let me know.
I can probably.
Well, thank you. You guys have any other questions for me about anything I shared? It was a lot.
About the book complaints, just because for the book complaints, since I've never been part of one before, what is the process for the book complaint, and then what do we do, if you don't mind just?
Yes, so it's a fun process. So basically, if somebody goes up to the desk or a staff person and they want to complain about a book, staff usually have a short conversation with them, trying to see really what the issue is, and try to get at what they're really wanting. Sometimes people just want to be listened to, and my staff are really good at listening. Other times they do actually want to go through the formal process. So if the staff member believes they want to go through that process, or they say they want to go through that process, we have a folder at the desk that has a bunch of forms. It is basically a form to contest something that we have in our collection. It asks very specific questions like, did you read or watch the entire book or movie? What are the specific issues you have with it? Point out page numbers. Things like that. It's really to make sure they're not just opening up the book, finding something they don't like and saying, hey, want this out. It's to help them get a good feel of what the item is about, hopefully. And then before they can even turn that form into me, they have to have a conversation with me. And this is because in the past we've had people complain about something, and instead of going to the library director, they go straight to the city manager, which the city manager has nothing to do with that particular thing. The city manager passes them back to me. So usually, I put my contact information on that form, and I can send you the form if you guys want to see what it looks like. I put my contact information on that form. It says, have you spoken with the library director about this? So hopefully they'll contact me, bring the form with them. I have a conversation with them, and then if they literally give me that paper as their formal complaint, I bring it to the next library advisory board meeting, we discuss it, we basically hold that item up to our collection development policy, which is also online. If it falls under that policy, which everything in this library should, if it falls under that policy, then it stays, and then I write a letter to the person and tell them what happened, why we chose to go the route we did. And then if they have any other issues or, want to move the complaint forward, then I have to figure out what to do about that. But we've made sure our policies address everything that we have in this library. But, at the same time, there have been people in the past, not here, but at other libraries who have actually complained about certain books and had legitimate complaints. The information was actually wrong, they had a newer version come out, whatever. I personally have never had to bring a formal complaint to you all. But in the past, I have worked here where there have been formal complaints, and anytime it goes beyond the library director, especially if you don't give them a chance to respond to whatever it is, it ends up being a big problem.
So, Zoe wasn't here, I'm not sure who was here when we had a patron take a complaint directly to city council. And as a result, one of our jobs is to rewrite policies. So we created basically an escalation policy so that you go through these steps. And we're the arbitrators of, so after Marissa, we the library advisory board are the arbitrators of this. Yes. And if they wanted to go above us, then yes, they can go to city council and all that kind of stuff. But the person who did, quite frankly, made herself look incredibly stupid, but just an opinion there. And it really did cause a lot of issues because it's just like, I don't like what you said, so I'm going to go, 3 levels above you. The person never gave the library a chance. And so that's why we actually rewrote the policy to be much, much more specific, because that's our job as a library advisory board, because there has to be a way to deal with problems. And so that's we try to be much, so there is actually now what's called in my formal world an escalation process.
Yes. So, yeah, as Lois said, the issue as far as that particular item went, it actually was not a book in our collection. It was a book, sort of little magazine thing called Book Page that the Friends of the Library put out. And it wasn't the issue with the book page they had, it was when you open the cover, there was an advertisement for a bunch of books. One of the titles was not a good title, and that person was upset that they saw that. And in the end, it was an advertisement. We don't own the book. No library I know of owns the book because it was actually garbage. But that person didn't even give the library director at the time a chance to respond. So in the end, as Lois said, we actually created a non-collection materials policy. So stuff that's not part of our collection, but that you can maybe find in the library. And that basically answered the rest of the questions. But that was a bit of a fiasco. And the Friends don't have the book page anymore. They have something called Booklist Reader now, which is much better. And Book Page did apologize to me, but I was like, it's too late. Also, I wasn't even purchasing the Book Page, it was the Friends.
You
So,
weren't even the library director at the time.
I wasn't even the library director at the time. No. It was interesting. I learned a lot about that whole experience, but it's one of the reasons why I have people talk to the library director before anything else escalates.
I just want to say, I hear two things that are super positive. Number one is that they need to have a conversation with you before they escalate it. And number two, they need to be familiar with the whole content of the material they're complaining about.
Yes.
And I think when you do number one and number two, like that's huge in coming to the same common ground and then taking it from there. And discussing maybe the information's outdated or wrong or insensitive for the age group or whatever, but that's where it starts in the conversation. Yeah.
And really making sure people are reading whatever it is, because we have had people complain about things who did not read it, they just heard from a friend about this thing. And I can't really have a conversation with that person because they're not even going based off of what they feel, they're going based off of what someone else feels. So I would want to have a conversation with that other person. But we haven't had a lot of issues besides that one book that I just passed around that someone complained about. We've been generally okay, so. Thank you.
There are more sane people than insane people in the world. Still.
I'm so glad that you want to have conversations with those people because I kind of want to go, just don't read it.
And that's the biggest thing is they don't want to have conversations with me. And I don't mean me specifically, they don't want to have a conversation. It's one of the reasons why I put that there. They want to just go to the top and say, hey, take this book out, and someone says, okay, we'll take it out, be on her way. And that's not how it works. So, but part of the reason I want to have a conversation with them too is to really figure out what the issue is. Like there is some meat to some people's complaints and sometimes there isn't, but I won't ever find that out unless I have that conversation. So, yeah.
Okay. Friends report?
So I don't really have anything, I just know that they still don't have a manager of the bookstore. They're getting together, it's to decide on a committee to run the bookstore. I'm not sure management by committee is ever an effective way to do things, but I mentioned last month, there is no Christmas tour of homes, and we're waiting to get more direction. So Tiffany, Linda, and I all volunteered at the bookstore, and we're waiting for a little bit more direction on what's going to happen there, and that's all the news I have from Friends.
Yeah, their next meeting is this coming Thursday. So
Did it get moved?
it did get moved, yeah. There was, I think Megan was doing an event last week that a lot of the board members wanted to go to, so they just moved it to this Thursday.
So this coming Thursday, you mean like 2 days?
Yes. Today is Tuesday. So yes, 2 days from now. And next week's Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I don't know how we got. Okay,
Ready?
we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull this up. Now, I have a question for you. Do you guys want me to sit down there like I'm literally giving this presentation to city council? Or do you want me to just stay right here?
You're fine. Okay.
Why don't you just stay where you're comfortable?
Honestly, tomorrow I'm
Could you
thinking
do
about.
the first part down there and then could you do the next one?
And then just ask me
Yeah, that would really
In the
help
middle.
me understand.
I mean, honestly, tomorrow, since I'm going late enough, I might actually stand up just to keep myself awake.
Yeah, really. You could do a little dance.
Yes. Start out with a good stretch or something. Okay. All right. So let me preface this presentation by saying I have 15 minutes to give it tomorrow. There's 22 slides. I'm not reading everything word for word, don't worry. And if there's any data that seems to be missing, it's because I had to cut it for time's sake. But when we do the full-scale strategic plan update at the end of the 3 years, all of that will be in there. So we'll just start there. Okay. Hello, everybody. Although normally I'd say hello, Mayor, City Council, and the greater Canby community. My name is Marissa Ely, and I'm the Library Director of our Canby Public Library. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present a brief update on our library strategic plan and year 1. So I wanted to start today with one of my favorite quotes by R. David Lankeys: "Bad libraries build collections, good libraries build services, and great libraries build communities." So libraries are always evolving in their purpose and their impact. A bad library focuses only on accumulating books and materials without thinking about how people actually use those books and materials. A good library goes further by offering programs and services that meet our community's needs. It's not just about what's on the shelves, but it's about how people are using what's on the shelves. And then finally, a great library becomes a hub where people come together to learn and connect. It supports civic life, strengthening the social fabric of the community. So really it's about moving from things to helping people use those things to bringing people together in meaningful ways. And that is what library staff strive to do every single day they are here. Okay. So I'm here to report on the progress of year 1 of our 2024 to 2027 strategic plan and to share how our team is advancing equity, connection, and education for a growing Canby community. So as you all know, we created new vision and mission statements to go along with our new strategic plan last year. And essentially those statements say that our library is a safe, community-focused place that supports learning and growth through great services and caring connections. The end goal is to strengthen the entire Canby community in the process. So strategic priority number 1 is advancing community education and outreach, and we wanted to focus on this by doing a couple things. First, engaging with those in the Canby service area, including the Canby area schools, educators and students, participating in more community events via outreach, especially those in unincorporated areas, which we're still working on, partnering with other city departments, businesses, and community organizations, and increasing library card registrations. And then we also wanted to leverage social media to educate library users on what we do and how we do it. We also wanted to apply for and utilize grant funding to expand services and then support workforce and career development with dedicated resources and education. Okay, so an update to strategic priority number 1. The library's outreach and engagement efforts have made a strong impact this year with 91 in-reach and outreach events and activities that saw over 4,200 participants. And if you don't know what in-reach and outreach means, it really means things like attending different school visits, having the students come here and hosting them here, going and passing out books at summer school lunches, attending family literacy night programs, having educator resource booths at open house nights, things like that. We also made over 1,200 new library cards. Our social media engagement went up by an average of about 18%, which is very exciting for us considering a community of our size. Jumping that high in 1 year is pretty great. We secured over $75,000 in grants and donations, some of which you can see down there. Libraries Transforming Communities, that's our accessibility grant, and then the mini grants for rural libraries. And then we also opened our grant-funded career center and hosted a career fair. So speaking of the career center, which opened on September 2nd, the career center basically was created to expand the library services by supporting workforce development with dedicated equipment like computers and a laptop, resources to support job search, and then also opportunities for assistance with job searching applications, resumes, interview prep, and things like that. And because we only recently opened the Career Center, I don't have too much data to work with here, but in the little over 2 months it's been open, majority of folks have used it to look for jobs, to apply for jobs, to work on their resume, and to prep for interviews. And most of the people who have used the Career Center already have already found success using our resources. So that's something that was really exciting to see. And we'll continue keeping that data, so I'll share more with everybody when we get to the next update. So strategic priority number 2 is building community through quality programming and services. And we were going to do this in 3 different ways. 1, we wanted to work on removing barriers and creating more opportunities to stimulate curiosity and lifelong learning for everybody, all ages, all abilities. We want to focus on delivering more programs that highlight other cultures and communities. We also want to develop more seed library programming, especially related to gardening and sustainability, something one of our staff members is working on a lot these days. Also wanted to develop more Maker Lab STEAM programming, which I'm going to address in one of the next slides. And then also connecting all of our services and programs back to resources we have so people can take whatever that is home and continue learning at home. We also are continuing to create our short annual feedback survey for patron input on our services, so folks can tell us what is working well for them and what may need to be improved upon within reason. And then finally, engage the community to help spread the library's value by leveraging partnerships with local groups and organizations, empowering our wonderful volunteer group, and then planning our annual library open house. So an update to that strategic priority. A lot of really good stuff has happened here. We have expanded our inclusive and educational programming with 6 bilingual story times and 14 sensory-friendly play groups so far, and that's in partnership with Todos Juntos, which is a group that we work with a lot, and we're very grateful for everything that they provide to our library and our community. We also had 31 age-inclusive Maker Lab STEAM activities in that first year, 17 monthly passive programs for all ages and abilities. We launched our seed library with over 4,500 seed checkouts, because they're not really checked out, you don't have to return them. Checkouts in the first year, and we had 11 seed library workshops as well. So really good things in that first year, and we're happy about that. We hosted our second library open house with over 167 attendees, and that library open house is really just a good chance for folks to come and learn about what the library does, and to also get a sneak peek in our back room, and also just really learn more about the services that we have that they might not know anything about. And then finally, last year, we had a solid group of 38 volunteers that performed over 1,800 volunteer hours, which is a value of over $65,000 of free work that they have provided this library. So we are incredibly grateful for our volunteers for doing as much work as they've been able to do for us.
Marcy, what's
yes.
the dollar per hour number that you use?
$34.79. Okay. Major highlight this year has been creating, opening, and using our Maker Lab, which is in the back of the library on the right-hand side and has a brand new big sign up there now, which we're excited about. And this space is a dedicated space for STEAM programming, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. And this, our Maker Lab, this initiative, was made possible thanks to the generous, very, very generous support from the Kiwanis Club of Canby, who are still supporting it, the Friends of the Library still supporting it, and our Library Foundation still supporting it. And so, as you can see here, and I have some other stuff to bring as well, I'll have some show and tell stuff. These pictures here are what the Maker Lab essentially looks like. We have several 3D printing machines, which I'll bring some little 3D printed doodads. And then some of the projects on the upper right-hand corner, including a couple weeks ago, we did a t-shirt design press program with the teens, so they got to press whatever they wanted on t-shirts. And funny enough, they all did a lot of school-related things, like cross-country and stuff, so it was really fun to see, and they had a good time doing it. Okay, our programming has also seen a steady growth over the past year, reflecting a meaningful impact through increased access, higher participation, and stronger community connections. So as you can see in this bar graph here, our adult programming numbers, participation numbers have been going up, teen has been going up, and while it looks like children went down, that's actually because we created a new programming category for general interest programs, and a lot of those stats actually got funneled over there. So it didn't technically decrease, but that's what's in. Yes, our library survey results for this past year, 2025, we normally have the library survey open for about a month, and the first time we had it, it actually coincided, I believe the first day was our library open house, and then they had the whole month to respond to that survey, and then the second time last year, I think our open house was at the end of the survey being due. But anyway, respondents appreciated the most our books and collections, our friendly and helpful staff, and the fact that our library is a safe, welcoming, quiet place, which is always really good to hear. Top concerns for our community, open hours, which is something unfortunately we can't fix right now with our current budget, but it's something I did want to be on everyone's radar on City Council. Other concerns were access to a wide variety of books and materials for all ages. I believe this was in response to book banning. 3 was spaces and programs for after-school teens, which we've done a lot of work in that teen room. And then finally, career and job help with job searches, resume writing workshops, which we created a career center around. So we did a pretty good job of answering a lot of what folks were asking for in that survey, so happy about that. Third and final strategic priority is improving departmental and organizational health and stability. We're going to do this by ensuring strong working relationships with you all, the Library Advisory Board, our Library Foundation, and the Friends of the Library. We also want to continue fostering relationships with City Council by getting up in front of them and doing more presentations like this, other city departments, and of course, our community stakeholders that support our collective work. And then finally, and most importantly, at least for this past year, was investing in organizational culture, staff well-being, and growth. And that's because we have almost a completely brand new team than a year or two ago. So updates to this strategic priority. This year, the library strengthened departmental and organizational health and stability through expanded community and board engagement. So for example, I joined the Canby Kiwanis Foundation board, and I've already been really enjoying my time with them, learning how we can work well together to really serve as many kids as possible in this community. We had one joint meeting a couple years ago, and we're in the process of planning our second joint meeting between the Friends, the Library Advisory Board, the Foundation, and the Canby Kiwanis Club. And that's so we can all get to know each other and figure out what each group needs to support the library in the end and to support each other. We did several presentations, both to City Council and to the community over the past year. This time last year, I presented on the strategic plan, which I'm going over the year 1 updates already with you guys. Did a library funding presentation in April, and then did our Civic Engagement Academy presentation in March, of which I am actually starting to work on our second Civic Engagement Academy presentation. So that will be fun. We have also been focusing on partnering with local organizations and businesses. Really, my staff have tried really hard to keep as much as possible within Canby. So when we needed more signs, we went to Canby Graphics. When we want to go celebrate somewhere, we do it here. When we, need specific books for something that's going on, we try to go to the book nut, things like that. We are really trying to keep as much in Canby as we possibly can, for many different reasons, but we want this whole community to be successful. As you know, we created our community bulletin board, which is at the front of the library, right when you walk in the doors on the right-hand side, and we've gotten really positive comments on that. Like I said before, we have a new library team, which is why it was important to conduct a staff operational assessment to align with the current needs of the library and also the current state of libraries in general. I created Monday memos for staff, so every week, Monday, before anyone gets in, I have sent a memo with everything going on that week, programs going on, things to remember, or if we have to trespass someone, sometimes their picture. That way, when staff come in and they don't have time to read all their email before we open, they can at least read that Monday memo and know exactly what they need to keep tabs on for that week. And then finally, every year we also have an annual staff development day, and we did that in this past October, and that was also really fun. Okay, I'm winding down. Okay, now I want to show you some statistics that saw large increases this past year. Again, here are some of our biggest number highlights, but I'm going to show you some graphs on the following slides, so you don't need to try to memorize that really quickly. Okay, meeting room usage and reference questions have soared this year as more community members engage with our library services. So on the left-hand side, you'll see meeting room use. Our meeting room usage increased by more than 78% from fiscal year 22-23 to 24-25. And you'll notice I start talking about fiscal year 22-23 because I'm trying to get out of the COVID years where numbers were just all over the place and didn't make sense. So meeting room use went up 78% between 22-23 and 24-25. Reference questions, that right-hand graph, increased by more than 63% in that same time period. So this just shows you that people are using the library for many different reasons, including using the meeting rooms and asking a lot of questions, which I think just really shows our need for the community. Yes, physical and digital checkouts. So despite a static collection budget that has not grown in over 5 years, the library has seen strong growth in both physical and digital checkouts. So physical checkouts increased by over 15% between 22-23 and 24-25, so between the left and the right-hand column there. I've said this before, you guys, but I'll say it again. We are one of the few libraries whose physical checkouts are increasing still, while digital checkouts are also increasing. So people can be like different versions of things, different formats. And then digital checkouts on the right-hand side increased by more than 54% in that same time period as well. So we went from 35,000 checkouts in fiscal year 22-23 to over 54,000 this past fiscal year. So that's a good problem to have, but it is a very bad problem to figure out with a budget like ours, which I'm not going to say more. Okay, library visits. Library visits continue to rise with this past fiscal year 24-25, surpassing over 101,000 visitors for the first time ever. That is a huge milestone that just underscores the library's value to our community, and we're really happy about that.
Do you check that with the door counter?
Yes. And we have a very accurate door counter now. We did not at one point. That was pretty good. So library visits have actually increased by almost 14% from fiscal year 22-23 to 24-25. So we're really, really excited about that. Okay, looking ahead to 2025 and 2026 for our strategic plan, there's a few things that we want to continue to focus on while also working on everything else that we're doing. We want to expand our Maker Lab STEAM programs and our Career Center related programs. We want to continue focusing on accessibility by broadening our outreach efforts, especially to those who have issues coming into the library. We also want to continue removing access barriers in the ways that we can, and we're in the process of getting large print signage for our collections, so that's really exciting, all grant funded. And if you hear me say grant funded a million times tomorrow, it's because I need them to know it's grant funded and not general fund funded. Just something to brag about so they don't ask questions. We also want to continue growing cross-department partnerships, applying for grants with other community organizations, which we actually just finished a grant application with the Friends of the Library, also exciting. We want to review the Oregon Library Association threshold standards for public libraries to make sure we're meeting as many of those standards as we possibly can, so we are adequately serving the community of our size, which is growing. I don't know if you guys saw, but Portland State University sent out an initial estimate that Canby is over 19,000 people now. I think it was like 19,100 something. So we're growing. And then finally, we want to continue working on the council goal and objective, promoting financial stability and developing a plan to fund current and expanded library services. Something that we'll probably be working on as long as libraries are here, and I'll be happy to do it. And finally, I wanted to leave you all with some words from your own community members. Our community describes the library as a safe, welcoming, and inspiring place where they feel valued, loved, and supported. They appreciate the wide variety of books and programs and opportunities that makes the library a place of learning and connection for everyone. And it's really words like these that inspire our staff and remind us why we love to do what we do every day. And I have a stack of like 75 of these. I'm gonna bring them all. I'm not gonna read them all, but they'll see them. So together, these achievements from the first year of our strategic plan show how the library continues to educate and connect our community. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to growing and welcoming even more people through our doors in the year ahead. Questions? And there's my contact information. So I'll be going through this slower than I did today. But again, I also have 15 minutes, so maybe not. But I have some little show and tell things to bring, because you guys all mentioned that. I thought that was a great idea. Philip gave me some stuff. And I'm just hoping to make a big enough impact on them while they're probably tired and want to go to bed by the time I present this.
So do you have a chance to redo these slides, or they've already been submitted?
No, they're in the packet. This had to be done several weeks ago.
Right. Yeah. Because the slides with the numbers, you talk too much and the slides need to say more. That's my feedback. Is that
Okay.
There's times where you just put it up there and wait 30 seconds. Because I think that talking sometimes can detract from it, as opposed to just letting, and you're talking about the numbers, like a 60% increase from 2 years ago to this, that should have been on the slide, and then just letting them, and then that, what over 100%, that should have been a big red line, you know. I think that talking during some of the number stuff can actually detract.
Okay.
So that's something to think about, is talk less, let them look at the slide, and just maybe not even useful sentences, 60% increase, you know, that, make it a little bit punchier, because you're talking for 15 minutes, you know, that's just, you know, sometimes just letting the numbers hit in the face can be a lot more powerful than anything you say.
So the slides are submitted, the presentation is amazing, you did a great job. I'm very
I
impressed.
have a question.
Yes.
Have you tracked the hours that get spent on writing and working on grants?
Loosely, with the way that our scheduling works, I usually kind of put time in there, but it's not really.
It occurs to me that one of the things that grants demonstrate is we can get along just fine without your supporting us. And when that translates to, you're paying me to run a library, but 30% of my time is being spent trying to raise money outside the city. If you had 100% of my time, you could get it by giving, you know, by raising my budget 30%. So I think that's something maybe we ought to explore. We ought to start kind of tracking and keeping track and start making a point of that, because that's not really free to them.
No. And at least from the library funding presentation I did last April, there were a lot of things in the presentation that I was hoping would get at their heartstrings, but they were only listening to the numbers part. It was like, you
Yeah,
know.
they have no heartstrings. I mean,
They
it sounds flippant, but the truth is, they're only gonna see the bottom line.
Yes.
Any time, I was in education for a long time, and I wrote grants like crazy, because one of the bad things about grants, and one of the things that probably needs to be pointed out to them, is that the grant money only lasts so long. And if they don't fund the program, then the program disappears. That happens in education every day of the week. And
managing a grant actually takes more time than the grant process itself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know, at some point, I really think we need to start kind of poking that in their
Yeah.
faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll shut up.
I was gonna say, Lois, this presentation, the way it was outlined with the numbers and the stuff that was there, that was what I was told to kind of put together, so.
No,
I agree.
The numbers are very powerful, but I just think that I would put the power on the slide and let them kind of contemplate the numbers for a while, because they can tell what's on the left side of the slide, the right side of the slide, and if you're not talking, they've got to look at the slide.
Right.
And so it forces them to engage a little bit more, because they're forced to look at it and kind of go, oh shit, pardon my French, but, but that's what you want the number slides to do. And I think that talking too much over them can detract from it.
Yeah.
Because then they can focus on your words and all of the slides, and I think that the slides should smack them on the side of the head, so.
Yeah, it was really hard even getting this much information into like a 15-minute presentation, the best I can do, but yeah. And I sent you guys the handout too, but there's a handout that I have for them that has a lot of the data in it. It's the Canby Public Library Strategic Plan Year 1 Progress Highlights. It has a lot of the data in it, doesn't have everything, but it was something that they could take home with them. And then they do have all the slides as well, so. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'm at the very end of the meeting, so I think people are gonna be a little bit tired, but I'm gonna do my best to wake them up or wake myself up. One of those.
So we need to wrap up the meeting, because there's several things yet on the action items that we need to discuss.
Okay, so.
Where are we on the joint meeting
Yes.
planning?
So the joint meeting, I got all of the results, I did send it to everybody. I didn't give everyone a printout of it, but I can next time if you want. So it seemed like the majority of folks were interested in kind of a combination of a loosely structured meeting with short planned presentations by each group, coupled with a social hour. The majority of folks said that they could meet Monday evenings or Thursday evenings, and then potential times, like I said, would be evenings. So I just wanted to ask you guys all if you would be fine with me sending out, something to everybody that has people go on the best days and times for them to meet. It seemed like the amount of time people wanted to meet was about an hour and a half, so it wouldn't be any longer than an hour and a half, but I'm looking at January and February dates, just so everybody has enough time to plan presentations and whatnot. So if you guys are okay with it, I will just send out a little scheduling something or other that asks for people's input on what day and time to have the meeting. And if folks can't come, I'll do my best to record it and take notes. Like obviously it's an extra meeting, so if you can't come, it's not a big deal, but I will do my best to make sure as much of what happens in that meeting is available for whoever doesn't make it, so. Are you guys okay with me doing that?
Yes.
Okay. And then just the other question, which is a question for Amy as our chair and the rest of you at the same time. December 16th is our next meeting. Do you want to hold that meeting or would you like to cancel it? And the only reason I'm saying this is because city council is canceled the next day, just because a lot of people are out of town or doing holiday related things. I do not care either way, whatever you guys want to do, I will.
I vote for canceling just because even though we're planning to be here, December gets crazy.
I agree.
You know, this way, it's not an issue.
Should we vote? Cancel the meeting for December?
Oh, we have to make a motion.
I move we cancel the December meeting.
I second it.
Let's vote.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You wanted a meeting in December.
Okay, so no December meetings. I will obviously keep you guys all updated via email, especially with the joint meeting stuff. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, I'm here. Yeah. And I think for our January meeting, I think it would be maybe a good idea for us all to come to the meeting with ideas on things you guys might wanna learn about or talk about in these meetings.
I
I have a
think,
long list, but I want it to come from you.
could we schedule like half an hour for how long is the ethics training? Could we schedule some time for that?
I will write this down and then check, yeah.
Yeah, that, we have delayed that, some of the stuff has been on the action items for several months because of the joint task force you're working on. I just think it would be good to actually get some things scheduled. And then I also wanted to say that, you know, I was the one who worked on the lab duties and powers, and Linda and I both read that handbook for public library board members. I'd be willing to work on that again in January, not December. December is just, let's just assume it's crazy. I wish we could have you.
Fantastic.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.